spacer buddy.
Get this end one off too.
You want fully be restricted?
What do you mean? Let's go hang out with the homie.
Styrofoam.
Sorry, homie.
That thick.
What's your first impression?
Let me get a ride report, Max.
Pretty good.
How's the
Definitely,
plate
definitely hits like.
Smell that thing.
It smells like a long
Yeah,
ride.
it
smells like
Compared
clear
to
coat.
compared to the other pipe, it's a bi-turbo.
It's way more together. Like it's a lot.
Oh, yeah, look at it boiling, bubbling, and dripping.
Oh yeah.
Gotta give it another strength.
Freshy, dude. What's my temps? Check my temps. Where am I at?
Temp, where's the temp?
Unjetted. Where even is it?
201.
Boy, that smells a little.
198.
Yeah, it's the
not even warmed
stuff
up.
peeling
Go,
off
yeah,
the
go
pipe.
bath it again. Burn that off.
Pretty good. It's kind of
Bring
chilly.
it back and we'll get it in a hot one.
Yeah, ride it.
Get it on the plate though.
Aluminum can Coors Light. Did you order your steak?
So how does, if I can ask what you mean by,
I'm just fiddling with this base gasket spacer. I got the spacer I cut out of sheet metal, pretty much like the one Max just put on. And I got 2 baller freshy base gaskets. I'm gonna put her back together. So I'll put the clip of how shitty it looked before this.
so how does,
Well, so I'm gonna take this off first. All right, so this is what makes this different than a than a pedal start. This plate that sits on top of the clutch, and this clutch has no friction material on the back. I ground it off, but this is from a kickstart, this is how a kickstart clutch would basically look. But if you're gonna use a pedal start clutch on a kickstart, you gotta grind that off, and you have to make a spacer like this. So the middle of this, see that spacer? That's not supposed to be there. Normally, that inner circle like lines up with a nub on the kickstart clutch. And then there's this pressure plate that goes on it that as you tighten this, it like forces that plate flat against there and keeps it all tightened together. And then that tooth, these teeth line up with the claw that comes out here on the kickstart cover. And I like it a lot too because they were smart enough to know that they should try and build it so all this stays together so you can just pull it all off on one assembly. Like you can take
Will
that
this
off.
explode if you do it?
Yeah, because it'll try and throw it out. It needs to, you need these pins to hold in because they line up on the case.
Oh yeah, look at that.
There's a little tiny.
So you know.
Yep, so you know. Look, you can tell. But I mean, that's it's really easy to make a pedal start clutch. You don't need a special kickstart clutch to work on a kickstart. It works on a Euro and it works on a Magnum X kickstart. You literally just need to make this washer spacer right here. Custom washer.
Let me get that. Hold it still. Yeah, look at that. It's just a washer.
Yep. So I believe I had one that fit on the outer diameter, and the inner diameter I just drilled it out, so it lines up and keeps itself centered on there.
And then it smushes that other one that's
actually,
out.
this is what it lines up with. Sorry, the nut for this kickstart has like a lip on it.
Stop moving it.
Sorry.
There you go.
Look, you can tell. So that goes in the hole in the washer, and then it all goes together
Sick.
like that.
So what are you doing to the clutch now, though?
I am doing some routine maintenance, changing my fluid. 2, I'm also inspecting the wear on the clutch pads because I've been riding it for a little bit, beat it up this weekend, got it really muddy, rode it off road, which is like just all clutch like slipping, like the clutch never grabs because you're just going 5 miles an hour off road. So that's pretty hard on it. So I'm just gonna look at it and see what happened. Also, I think one of these arms is like hanging up when it expands, and then it doesn't retract all the way. And I feel like it's catching because I can almost hear something like popping on the clutch side
When you stop,
when I stop. And
it gives a little bit of a ping.
yeah, and the only reason I know that's a possibility is because one time I had one of these hammer clutches bind up, I think just because it was dirty. There's like a pretty tight tolerance between that pad, like the arm, and the plates on either side. And if there's any grit in there and that arm sits cockeyed the slightest bit, it's enough to like jam it up. Or if there's a burr or something, and I did that and it got hung up. Also, this is a jammer plate, and that's a hammer clutch like arms on the inside because the pads are so good on them. But this plate is off a jammer clutch that I had, and just put them together because it was already ground off from a jammer being in a kickstart. I don't know. I'm gonna pull it apart and see. Pull the clutch off. Hey. Ready? Okay.
What's that?
Thin layers, all you need.
Yeah, because it squirts and spreads smooth.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's what happened. All the way to Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh, it's upside down, bud.
No, it's good. It's upside down, but I'm correct.
That had to have been, 10 years ago?
Yeah, it's 8 years ago.
Jesus. Means hopefully.
Play another good song for my movie.
My move?
Tell you,
that too.
if it gets in Wednesday, you can do it.
It's a nightmare.
I'm trying to get this off.
I gotta wipe the piston off. It's nasty.
Strawberry. Oh, boy, bud.
That's good.
What is that? Dude, yeah.
It's good to go. Fuck it. Dickard. It's not lined up. All right, now we got it.
I'll send it home.
There we go. This gasket's kind of weird. I never like these metal gaskets.
How come?
Because they don't crush. It's on your head gasket. Cigarettes. Project.
Cigarettes per second.
I think it's not as cool as this right now.
That's what we were supposed to do. We want to race them.
Got to install to change your stall. I'm trying out these Derby white springs. They are not meant for this clutch.
Installing for higher stall.
Mm-hmm.
All right, as you saw prior, I cleaned up these base gaskets and the spacer, checked everything out. I threw the motor back on the frame. I also painted all the raw metal on the frame black because I really don't care. I just don't want it to rust, and I'm not sure if I'm going to powder coat it or have it actually painted. So that's that. I'm going to throw the seat on. I got some wiring going on, and I made this clip set up so I can quick disconnect my stator. Super easy. And then there's the clips plug. I still just have to install the swing arm, the back wheel, a bunch of other stuff. I also painted the swing arm black just so they don't get rusty. So I'm just slowly putting this thing back together. Currently, the only thing I need to do is just button up the carburetor. I got the swing arm on, correct hardware for that. I need to wire the headlight and tail light and pretty much just bolt stuff back together. I got the rest of the hardware, so everything's good to go. I don't need to buy anything. Yeah, I really just need to assemble it and then ride it. A distance, the black adds a little bit of like a two-tone, faded out two-tone. I kind of like it. I also think that Max is still messing around with the springs he installed on his Maxi. He also switched back to that PSR replica. The circuit pipe was pretty much junk. He wasn't satisfied with it. Definitely see you in the next one. Definitely like and subscribe. And we'll definitely see you with some more Sick Moped content in the next video.
And always set your ring gap.